My name is Nora. My life has never been perfect, but I'm grateful because things could be way worse. I've been married to my husband Vernon for 8 years. The majority of our years together were good, especially in the beginning. Over the years, he started focusing on work more than on me. We didn't have a good conversation anymore, and he stopped worrying about my feelings. Even so, I did everything possible to save our marriage. Vernon had a son from his previous marriage named Aiden. He was the complete opposite of Vernon. In the beginning, Aiden stayed to himself, but over time, he and I became very close. He would always listen to what I had to say and understand how I felt whenever we spent time together. This was something I had been longing for. Everything changed one day. Vernon had to go on a business trip for a week, and I assumed that I'd be home alone, but Aiden unexpectedly came home. He was on a college break for a few weeks, and I thought he would be with his friends, but he wanted to spend time with his dad. When he found out that his dad was at work, he asked if we could hang out together, and I said sure. We decided to play a board game together. Everything seemed normal until I realized he was staring at me. At first, I thought I was overthinking things, but then when I looked at him really well, I noticed a totally different look in his eyes than usual. That evening, we had a long talk. He usually talked about what he wanted to accomplish after graduating from college, but this time, he shared his feelings with me. He told me how distant his dad had been towards him. Right then, I realized that I wasn't the only one that had been feeling lonely in this house. Feeling this way brought us closer together, but I also understood how fragile the line between right and wrong could be. I knew at some point it had to come to a stop, but I was very confused by my feelings. Aiden and I stayed in the living room together until late that night. We began watching a movie together, but I couldn't interpret what was going on because of my wandering mind. Also, I could feel Aiden looking at me in a different way. Even though it made me feel uncomfortable, it also made me curious. After the movie went off, we began chatting. The two of us talking made me feel more relaxed than I had felt in a while. Our conversations were not like the ones with Vernon, who always talked about work or just gave me a quick answer. Aiden listened attentively to everything I said. I appreciated this because I missed feeling understood. It started getting really late, and I suggested to Aiden that he should go to bed. He just looked at me for a moment and then said, "Talking to you makes me feel better. Can I sit here with you for a little while longer?" Him saying that to me only deepened the confusion I was already feeling. I agreed, and we both sat on the couch for a little while longer. There was a brief silence, and then Aiden told me that sometimes he needed to talk to someone just like me. His voice was quiet and serious. I gave him a smile and said, "I'm very happy to hear that. I'm glad that you're here with me." After saying that, I thought about how my words might affect him. Aiden locked eyes with me and gently took my hand. Then he said, "I don't know how you'll feel about me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think you're a very special woman." I didn't know how to reply to this. I was speechless. I had no clue what I should do. My first thought was to pull my hand away, but for some reason I couldn't. I felt like the emptiness and loneliness we both endured had brought us together this way, but I knew I had to stop this moment. I slowly pulled my hand away and said to him, "Aiden, what you just said and did really took me by surprise. I think we all take things the wrong way sometimes." But as I said this, I felt a heaviness inside of me. Aiden then told me that I was right and maybe he had taken things a bit too far. He added that he had a lot of respect for me and wanted me to understand how he felt though. Then he quickly stood up from the couch and said goodnight to me. He headed to his room and went to bed. It took me forever to get to sleep that night. I was afraid to face my feelings for Aiden. I had no idea where this situation would lead the both of us. I kept thinking about every moment I spent with him. Everything seemed normal the next morning at breakfast. Aiden acted like nothing had happened the night before, but I struggled to hide my confusion. Even though we kept our distance from each other that day, but I had a feeling that things weren't over yet. When Vernon returned home from his business trip, things in the household seemed to go back to normal. But I knew deep inside of me something had changed. That brief moment with Aiden kept replaying in my head. I knew how risky these feelings were, but I just couldn't control myself. When Aiden came home for the next holiday break, I wasn't sure what would happen. But I knew this wasn't the end of the story. After that break, Aiden returned back to college and everything seemed to go back to how they originally were. But one thing never went away: the confusion inside of me. I kept thinking about that night in the living room together. Vernon continued treating me coldly. He would come home from work, say a couple of words to me, and plop down in front of the television. It was like we were strangers living in the same house. I eventually found out when Aiden would be coming home from college again. There was another break and he would be home for a few weeks. I was excited for his return, but also ashamed of the feelings I had. Somehow, the anticipation of him coming home kept me going. Everything seemed normal when Aiden got home, just like before. I could see that certain look in his eyes, but this time, I planned on being more careful. I had my mind set to keep the boundaries between us, but of course, things didn't go exactly as planned. One evening, Vernon let me know he had to work late, so Aiden and I were left alone. We ate dinner together, and then he asked me if I wanted to go for a walk with him. I agreed, and we walked together for a little bit. When we got back to the house, we sat on the porch swing together. Things were quiet for a little while, but the Aiden broke the silence. He took a deep breath and let me know that being alone at the house with me always made him feel good. He asked me if I was aware of that. My heart started beating rapidly, and I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded my head. "I've never had a great relationship with my dad," he confessed. "But you've always made me feel like we're more than just family. Talking to you and being close to you makes me feel stronger," he continued. Hearing this made me feel moved, but also frightened me. A voice inside was telling me that this was wrong. But at the same time, Aiden's words made me have deeper feelings. Suddenly, he faced me and looked me directly in the eyes. "I can't keep how I feel about you hidden anymore. This may not be right, but I can't help how I feel," he said to me. His words surprised me completely. I took a deep breath, stood up, and turned to him. Then I said, "What you're saying to me is putting me in a very difficult situation. I'm your stepmother, and like you already know, this isn't right." My words did not sound convincing at all, because the inside of me was saying something different. Then Aiden said, "What you said is true, but I can't keep hiding my feelings for you. I don't want to cause any problems for you. I just wanted to let you know how I feel." Everything became even more complicated that night. Aiden was determined to keep his distance, but neither of us could ignore our feelings for each other. His presence made me a little jittery, but at the same time, I felt an intense attraction to him. One morning, Vernon left early for work, and Aiden came to sit next to me at breakfast. We sat in silence for a while, and then he said, "I don't want to put you in a predicament, but my feelings for you are real. Whenever I think about you, I feel really happy." I didn't know where this bond with him would take me, but I knew deep down that I didn't want to escape from it. Everything changed after Aiden expressed his true-up feelings for me. We were aware of each other more than ever before, but at times I felt a bit uneasy. Deep down, I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't stop my feelings. One day, Vernon unexpectedly came home early from work. Aiden and I were in the kitchen having tea when Vernon saw us. He just stood there and stared, like he sensed something was going on, then asked us what we were so happily chatting about in a sarcastic tone of voice. Aiden changed the subject quickly, casually commenting about how nice the weather was. The expression on Vernon's face made me feel even more uncomfortable than I already was. That night, Vernon randomly came to talk to me while we were in our room. He asked me something I hadn't heard in a very long time. "Nora, do you love me?" His voice didn't sound the same as it normally did. It was almost like he was trying to hide suspension. I paused for a moment and then said, "Yes, I do." Even though I answered in a positive way, I wasn't sure if he was convinced. I felt even more pressured as the tension between Aiden and Vernon grew. Aiden took any opportunity he could to talk to me and let me know how he was feeling. As time passed, Vernon became more and more suspicious. One day, things just completely spiraled out of control. Vernon had to go out of town for a meeting, and the thought of being home alone with Aiden brought back those confusing feelings. As soon as Vernon drove down the road, Aiden came directly to me and said, The feelings we have for each other can't be ignored anymore." His voice was very serious and firm. "My dad doesn't deserve you. He always leaves you alone and shuns you. But I'm here and I'll always listen to what you have to say." The words Aiden had said completely hypnotized me. I just couldn't respond. At that moment, I was more confused than ever. It was hard for me to remember the last time I had felt this understood, but so alone at the same time. But then, everything changed. I heard a car pull up outside, and it was Vernon. He had returned home because the meeting was canceled. Both of us began to panic. Aiden was so tense that he retreated to his room. When Vernon walked in the door, he started looking around like he was searching for something. "Is everything okay? You look a bit upset," he said. His voice was quiet but suspicious. "Everything is fine," I told him, but it was hard for me to hide the tension I felt. That night, I had trouble sleeping. I didn't know exactly how suspicious Vernon was, but I knew he felt something was not right between us. Meanwhile, Aiden still continued to secretly glance at me even when his dad was in the room. This tangled-up mess of a situation only grew more complicated with each passing day. This wasn't just between me and Aiden anymore. Vernon was becoming part of the confusion too. I could sense that something major was about to happen, but I wasn't sure what. Vernon's suspicions continued to deepen. His silence, glances, and sudden questions made me nervous. Aiden still continued to show his feelings even when his dad was unaware. It was hard to breathe in this tense household. One evening, Vernon ordered dinner for all of us. When Aiden and I sat down at the table, Vernon quietly watched us. He finally broke the silence and got straight to the point. "Nora, I feel like something's been off between us lately. Is there something you want to share with me?" I froze. The air felt ice cold. I couldn't get the words out because they seemed to get caught in my throat. But Vernon continued talking. "Aiden, I've noticed you've been acting differently lately. Something's going on and I want to know what it is." Aiden hesitated and then stood up. "Dad, just think about it. Nora's always been supportive of you and you just don't notice." I was shocked when I heard this. Vernon was very angry and also stood up. "What is that supposed to mean?" he shouted. The tension between them built up quickly. Aiden had accused his dad of neglecting me and not giving me the attention I deserved. This made Vernon completely aware of Aiden's feelings for me, and that's when he really lost control. That night, everything changed and nothing could be reversed. Vernon demanded that Aiden leave the house and never come back. Aiden never said a word and went to pack his belongings. The moment that he left, my heart broke. I was deeply affected by losing both Vernon and Aiden. With Aiden leaving, everything grew silent, but it didn't silence the turmoil I felt inside. Whatever bond Vernon and I had left completely shattered. Our relationship grew weaker day by day. Despite his efforts to save our marriage, there was no trust between us anymore. I eventually decided to file for divorce. I saw the pain in Vernon's eyes when I told him, but I think he had been expecting to hear that. He quietly accepted it, and after the divorce, it took me a while to recover from it. I never saw Aiden again, but I heard that he was doing very well. These events taught me a big lesson as I tried to rebuild my life again. Following your emotions can lead to serious consequences that can't be undone. When I look back on everything, I understand the mistakes I made a lot better. Those mistakes made me who I am today. I moved on from that dark period of my life, and now I have peace, knowing that it's all over.